Today's show will cover ExpressEntry Draw 220, CUAET surveys, changes to medical inadmissibility, and popular schools for international students. ExpressEntry is an online immigration application system for skilled workers. Within skilled workers, there are several programs of immigration, including the Provincial Nominee Program, or PNP. Applicants are ranked using a points-based system and placed in a pool. Currently, applicants are only being selected from the Provincial Nominee Program, and draws take place every 2 weeks. If your application is drawn, you are invited to apply to a PNP in the Canadian province of your choosing. Immigrants who wish to apply for their permanent residency status, want to live in a specific province, and have desirable skills for the labor market in that province may apply to this program. The latest ExpressEntry draw took place on April 13th, 2022. The total number of applicants in the pool was 200,924. The draw selected 787 candidates, with the lowest scoring candidate having 782 points. On April 14, 2022, the IRCC invited clients who have recently applied for the Canada-Ukraine Authorization for Emergency Travel, or CUAET, to complete a survey. In collecting these responses, the IRCC aims to have a better understanding of what clients need and their future plans in Canada. Completion of the survey is entirely voluntary, and all data collected is for research purposes only. The information shared is confidential and will not affect any past, current, or future applications with the IRCC. This survey is available in English, French, Ukrainian, and Russian. Those interested are able to visit the IRCC website and complete the feedback form, or would have received an email from the IRCC with a link to the survey. To come to Canada, you must meet certain medical requirements. If you are medically considered a danger to public health, safety, or an excessive demand on health and social services, you may be considered medically inadmissible. To better align Canada's medical inadmissibility policy with our country's stance on diversity and inclusion, there have been changes made to the policy. This includes tripling the cost threshold for determining medical inadmissibility and amending the definition of social services. Social services will no longer include special education, social and vocational rehabilitation services, and personal support services. So that's really interesting, Sarah. What do you think this means for people with medical conditions trying to enter Canada? I think it seems that they're limiting what is considered to be a demand on social services by taking out certain things. And so that might allow for some people who would have originally been considered medically inadmissible to maybe not be inadmissible anymore. So I think it means more people won't be held back by their disabilities to come into Canada. Well, that's good. It sounds like we're moving towards more of an accessible Canada. That's right. I agree. Mm-hmm. So that's all for news today. And now we're going to move on to Adrian's segment on great schools in Canada for international students. Today we're going to be talking about 3 of the most popular Canadian universities for international students. I'll take you through a brief history of the schools, which countries students mainly come from, and the most popular fields that are offered. I'll be referencing my visa source for Immigration Magazine rankings. Our first school will be the University of Toronto. Based on the Times Higher Education Best University in Canada list of 2020, the University of Toronto, or U of T, has been ranked 18th globally of all schools. 20% of U of T's student body is made of international students. Toronto is truly the best of all worlds because of its exceptional cultural and ethnic diversity. You can find a beautiful living mosaic of cultures and all people in Toronto and the Greater Toronto area. What countries are mainly served at U of T? Well, the university has a very diverse student body from all around the world and Canada. Many of the international students at U of T come from the US, UK, UAE, India, Indonesia, Singapore, and Mexico. At U of T, many students go into the Arts and Science Internship Program that the school offers. The Arts and Science Internship Program is unique to the University of Toronto, and so that is why it attracts talent from all over the world. Our next school that we'll be taking a look at is the University of British Columbia. A brief history of the school. The University of British Columbia, or UBC, has gained its renown for its research, distinguished alumni, and scholarships for international students. Since 1915, the University of British Columbia has been creating opportunities for people who want to shape the world. What countries are mainly served at UBC? To date, UBC has served a total of 18,283 international students from over 166 countries around the world. These include, but are not limited to, the US, India, and Singapore. What are the top fields that many students choose to go to when they choose UBC? Well, many students choose to go to three of their top programs: Environmental Science Program, Economics, and Psychology. Our last school that we'll be taking a look at is McGill University, which is located in Montreal. According to the Times Higher Education list, McGill is the only university in Canada that is represented in the World Economic Forum's Global University Leaders. Montreal is a vibrant and multilingual city and is an affordable place to live. There are many activities to do in every season, which include skiing in the winter and picnicking in parks in the warm weather. What countries are mostly represented in the University of McGill? McGill University has a diverse student population. 30.4% of its total student body are international students. At McGill University, its most popular programs include the arts faculty, with science and medicine and health studies as a close second. Thanks for joining me this week. Now on to Sarah.
International students are very important to Canada. They make up a significant portion of the country's GDP and attend thousands of post-secondary institutions. For example, the University of Toronto student body is made up of 20% international students. In 2019, there were over 400,000 study permit holders, and over 11,000 of those became permanent residents after they completed their studies. Studying in Canada is a great opportunity, but how do you get started? If you want to study in Canada, you first need a study permit. A study permit is a document allowing foreign nationals to study at a DLI in Canada. If you missed our last episode, DLI stands for Designated Learning Institution. A study permit is not a visa, and you will still need a visitor's visa to come into the country. Depending on where you are coming from, you may not need to separately apply for a visitor's visa. One may be given to you once your study permit is approved. Go online and use the questionnaire on the Government of Canada website to find out what you will need to do. There are several steps you'll need to follow if you would like to obtain a study permit. Step 1, obtain a letter of acceptance from a DLI. Step 2, gather your documents. Your documents are going to include your letter of acceptance from the DLI, proof of your identity, proof of financial support, and a letter of explanation of why you want to study in Canada, and proof of your understanding of your responsibilities as a student in Canada. So let's talk about financial support and proof of financial support. You need to prove that you have $10,000 Canadian annually and $833 monthly. And this does not include tuition fees. This is cost of living only. If you are bringing a family member, they must prove funds totaling $4,000, and every subsequent family member after that needs to prove $2,000. Proof of financial support can include bank statements, a student loan, or proof of payment of tuition fees. Quebec has different funding requirements, so if you are studying at a DLI in Quebec, you need to go online and look at those different study requirements. Step 3, apply online. Send in your biometrics, and that includes photos and fingerprints. There are some exceptions for certain people, and it's important to note that you need to be a fully vaccinated traveler in order to come to Canada. There are some exceptions to this rule. Canada is a welcoming place for international students, with globally high-ranking institutions. Check out what this country has to offer you and get started on your study permit today.
That was really interesting, Sarah. It looks like there's a lot to know about study permits.
Yeah, I think there is, and it's a really useful topic. I'm really glad we finally did it on the show. But what I found interesting about your segment were the schools that you covered. they're all in just really interesting cities in Canada, like Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver. Have you ever visited those cities?
I have. I actually visited all three, but most recently I visited Montreal with my partner, and it was really fun. We went to Old Montreal, and we got to see all these older buildings and all the cobblestone streets with cafes, and it was absolutely beautiful, and I would love to go back sometime soon.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. I went to U of T for my undergrad, but I also just lived in the GTA, Greater Toronto area. And I think a lot of people, like me, chose U of T because of the old architecture. A lot of people think it looks like Hogwarts from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's really fun, and Canada's not a very old country, but the oldest buildings are usually located in the schools because U of T was actually the first university in Canada. So
Right.
they have a lot of history.
I believe the University of Toronto is older than the country of Canada, from what I remember.
That's right. It was it was called the University of Upper Canada first, I think, which was when there were like no provinces. It was like Upper Canada, Lower Canada, Acadia. Yeah, that's way back when.
That's really interesting. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us this week. Be sure to click the bell icon and subscribe to the My Consultant channel. For more information about the topics covered in this show, be sure to visit MyConsultant.ca, where you can talk to an authorized immigration and citizenship consultant. I'm Adrienne Quijano.
And I'm Sarah Ostapchuk.
And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.